Alrighty. Hey, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us today. My name is Jordan Ayers, and with me today is Melissa Sinanu. Today, we're going to talk to you about something that has been coming up in all of our discussions with school leaders, and that is summer school. So before we get started, I want you to know that this will be recorded and we'll be sending it out to all who registered. If you have questions during the webinar, please go ahead and put those in chat. Our Classworks team is here to field those. And then we will have a Q&A at the end of our session as well. All right, so let's get started talking about summer school.
So summer school is more important than ever this year. In today's webinar, we will discuss how so many school districts are structuring summer school and what they hope to accomplish during this important time before heading into the 21-22 school year. We will review some of the more concrete plans that we're collaborating on with districts as they finalize summer school. So this includes establishing a summer school goal, determining who attends, how we're going to pay for it, the role of data, the instructional focus, and the social and emotional needs of students. And then finally, what will the day look like? At the end of this webinar, we will step through a sample schedule that takes into account all of these elements.
So first, what is your goal for summer school? As much as everyone has talked about learning loss and the COVID slide, your summer school goals are likely much broader than simply closing learning gaps. For example, many of the districts we spoke with said that after more than a year out of the classroom, student well-being is an integral part of their summer school plans. They also said that it may even have different goals for different groups of students. It may be hard to picture what a day will actually look like, so we thought it'd be super helpful to put together an example of what a summer school day may look like. So as Melissa said, that will be at the end of the presentation.
So here's a partial list of the summer school objectives that we heard. Helping students reacclimate to school and peers and the classroom. This included goal setting and the opportunity to engage with their teacher for ongoing feedback as they work toward achieving goals they've set for the summer. Also, small group remediation in key skills that large groups of students struggled to learn remotely or maybe in those heavily weighted standards for state tests. Obviously, closing specific learning gaps for those that weren't able to regularly participate in remote learning. Then teaching prerequisite skills for the hard to learn skills that are part of the upcoming year's curriculum. Offering enrichment opportunities to students that have been solely focused on academic subjects taught over the computer. And then the final goal that we heard is continuing virtual options like Classworks throughout the summer. Certainly hundreds of our partners use the Classworks assessments and individualized learning to close gaps remotely or avoid the traditional summer slide for students across the country.
However, that final goal is not part of today's webinar. Today's webinar focuses on returning students to the classroom and making that a successful and rewarding experience for both students and staff. So this list includes a wide variety of goals that mean very different offerings, staffing needs, and schedules. So the first order of business is to determine your goal or goals, and then think about everything else as it relates to meeting those goals. In education, we tend to try to do it all and try to accomplish too many goals simultaneously with limited time and resources. Then we are disappointed when the outcomes don't meet our expectations.
But regardless of your goals, and admittedly, most people we spoke with are placing an emphasis in two places: students' social and emotional well-being and closing learning gaps. But make sure all your decisions about summer school circle back to supporting your key objectives.
So next, let's think about who is attending. Unlike previous years, all grades are likely participating in summer school. Most summer school programs are geared toward at-risk students, but open to all students. This basically means extending the school year for those who need it. Students with disabilities have been most adversely impacted by the pandemic and definitely need to be included. In some states, charter schools aren't required to set up a summer school program. Instead, you may see charter school students, private school students, and homeschool students requesting a spot in your program. Some students also have chronic absenteeism during the year and are another significant group to target for summer learning. If you have door-to-door community outreach for students slipping through the cracks, take time now to talk to families about summer school. If possible, try to discover the obstacles for attending summer school so money can be put towards finding a solution. For instance, this past year, Detroit put funds toward door-to-door IT assistant within their family and community support department.
And some districts have been fortunate, right? They've been able to keep learning in person all year. So many of these districts are opting for a more traditional summer school, a half day focusing on closing gaps for about 3 weeks in grades 3, 5, and 8. And then preset assignments are available for all students remotely to prepare for the upcoming school year.
Now, on the flip side, we also work with some larger systems that haven't been able to safely reopen. They have been remote this whole past year. So those summer school discussions are very different. These districts are expecting to really use this time to support the effective re-entry to a school building for their students. They are also putting significant efforts to helping almost all students close learning gaps and learn softer skills like perseverance and goal setting. The teachers in these districts are also very excited to know they'll be able to see their students in the classroom, evaluate their well-being, feel confident they're getting the meals that schools can offer, and so much more.
So next, how do we pay for it? So Randy Weingarten, the president of the American Federation of Teachers, she has said districts should use federal stimulus money to make the summer a second semester. The focus should be on enrichment activities, she says, that help kids get their mojo back, and then include arts, music, and sports in addition to the core academics. And for the upcoming school year, 76% of district officials reported plans to use that second K-12 relief package to address learning recovery. And let's not forget, legislation just passed and was signed about a half hour ago, awarding K-12 another $125.8 billion. This amount dwarfs the combined March CARES Act and the December relief funds, and can be used to meet many of the same goals. So because summer school's focus is learning and recovery, use your federal dollars. Use them to pay for everything. The guidelines are super broad about how you can use the CARES Act and December relief funds. This includes, where you're able, to offer generous compensation for the staff that will be on site during summer school hours. So many of our partner systems in Alabama are paying all summer school personnel at their daily rate. So participating teachers will be paid double to work summer school. Now, I know that in some states, labor union agreements drive summer school pay, but if you have flexibility, use it, right? This also includes bus drivers, cafeteria workers, the meals they provide, PPE, professional development to best equip teachers for a successful summer term, and your arts and sports programs. Also, there is some concern from teachers that there is typically not as much support staff in school buildings during the summer. Recruit paraprofessionals and other support staff for summer school using these funds as well. And of course, especially this year, it's important to make school nurses part of the summer school plan.
Mm-hmm. Omaha Public Schools has an interesting approach you may be able to adopt. They are offering a full day, half day, or 1 hour daily option to students. OPS high school students ages 16 and up will also have an opportunity to have a paid internship mentoring and tutoring elementary students this summer. The district will actually pay them $10 an hour. And then one last suggestion here, reach out to community centers and local or national organizations to see if there would be folks willing to help out. Organizations like AmeriCorps or other educational residency programs could have a pool of volunteers. So the next topic is one that has been much discussed, and that is the role of data in summer school planning. It seems everyone agrees that granular data, which shows where students really are, is important. However, there are discussions about the stress testing places on students and even testing logistics. On February 22nd, the Department of Education sent guidelines to the state departments of education, allowing them to request waivers to the accountability requirements of ESSA. So this is going to lead to a wide variety of testing situations all across the country. If you do have student data from high stakes tests before summer school starts, that's a great starting place to determine possible participants for summer school. That said, with the absenteeism crisis, it's also going to be important to have your outreach focus on those that have had chronic absenteeism and perhaps don't end up participating in spring testing. Essentially, look at grades, absenteeism, spring interim, and summative assessment results where possible. Then use all of this data together to identify the at-risk students you most want to attend.
However, the high stakes tests, grades, and even most screeners don't really offer the diagnostic information we need to meet the needs of each of our students once they are in the classroom this summer. So if you do decide to pre and post test, like they're talking about doing in North Carolina, use an assessment that also offers diagnostic information to inform student learning during the summer. A test that only offers a skilled score but no diagnostic information isn't granular enough to really help all students, and certainly not a great starting point for summer school. For example, our Classworks screener gives both a skilled score, a percentile rank, and also diagnoses specific domains where students are struggling.
Mm-hmm. And diagnosing specific skills that students need to work on to close their gaps is really the most important testing you can do. Streamlining data to make it actionable and easy to plan for lessons will be huge for volunteers and or parapros.
So what does that look like? Well, in Classworks, you can use, like I said, the built-in universal screener, or you have the option to use a partner assessment like NWA, Renaissance Star, Ames Web Plus. The key here is that these results, in turn, inform each student's learning path and assign them skills they are ready to learn. A learning path is perfect for summer school, as students will likely work on the concepts they have missed and build toward the new grade level concepts, all at their own pace.
And really, no matter what format your school follows, screening to see exactly what students need to catch up on is a part of the summer learning process. If students have not been on campus, you may feel that that data from an at-home testing is invalid. So screen students to see where they are ready to learn and identify which prerequisites they have missed. Then for those students who have been on site, screen them to continue monitoring growth. While we do suggest screening for summer school to best close gaps, we do not suggest progress monitoring. What is important is using formative assessments to track mastery of daily skills. Then post-testing, if you feel that growth is a helpful measure at the end of the summer, depending on your goal, of course.
So this is the perfect segue into what the instructional focus should be for each day. This may depend on your district and how much remote versus in-person learning students have been able to participate in. As we mentioned, we partner with many rural systems across the Southeast that have been extremely fortunate and been able to keep almost all learning in person throughout the year. Again, these systems are talking about using Classworks and having pretty traditional summer school settings, right? Two things: teachers create targeted assignments that they'd like to see all rising next graders complete before they start the next year. And then they use the Classworks screener and skill-specific instruction to automatically help them close gaps for any students that struggled throughout the year. Again, these are typically half-day sessions, a traditional 3-week summer school. However, almost 50% of America's students haven't been in a classroom in nearly a year. So for the systems looking to have summer school as that first return to learning, the instructional focus is going to look pretty different. For starters, all grades are included in most summer programs that we're working with, as opposed to simply the traditional promotion grades. So here are a few of the strategies that we are hearing. 1, key standards. Determining key standards for summer school remediation curriculum. Look at the data by domain to determine areas of focus for the summer school content. Then use this data to guide what the focus standard will be for each week. And then also exposure to next year's standards. The Gwinnett County Summer School program typically has 2 components. 1 allows students to focus on the upcoming year's key standards. They actually work with us at Classworks to create instruction from the key standards. Then all students can get exposure to those skills and build confidence before they ever walk into next year's classroom. And then finally, individualize learning to close gaps more efficiently. This is obviously top of mind for most folks. The best way to close learning gaps effectively and efficiently.
The first order of business is to identify the focus standard or standards for each week, then prepare the resources that will be used for instruction. We do have to keep in mind technology fatigue is a reality for many students, but of course, technology still has its place. We are seeing a blended approach to instruction. So introduce skills using complex texts and challenging problem-solving activities. Classworks projects are the perfect opportunity for hands-on application to those hard-to-learn skills they will be expected to learn next year. For small group instruction, our Classworks partners are using our rigorous Tier 1 reading and math content. Plans are to use printouts this summer rather than completing them on the computer.
And then finally, individualized learning. This is where technology is still key, and it's the teacher's time saver. It's based again on that screening data and then gives students independent time to work on exactly the skills they need.
Next, meeting the social and emotional needs of students and teachers. Educators are also concerned about the losses and challenges students have faced outside of their studies. We can't expect them to catch up or succeed academically if other needs aren't being met. We know how much of a toll this period has taken on everyone, so the social and emotional needs of our students is a priority. We can't forget the reason we want students to be empathetic, relate well to others, feel heard, and be able to practice self-management. And so they're in the right frame of reference to learn the academic and social skills that will then set them up for success in their post-secondary lives.
So one key practice is making sure each day incorporates a time to connect with each other in a meaningful way. So most often we see this opportunity to connect as we start and end the day. We recommend using concepts such as the circle of trust with older students or morning meetings with younger students.
And the circle of trust is most often used with older students to build relationships, share struggles and successes while creating a place to share vulnerabilities. While a seemingly simple process to implement, it has proven to be a very powerful vehicle of expression and support for teens who normally would not have such an opportunity. There is a moving example of this process in Oakland, California, and we will share that link to a short video about their success at a local high school in the follow-up.
Yep, sharing a purpose for the day or week and discuss the schedule, right? Perhaps this includes opportunities for students to share with their peers and a teacher their goal for the week, perhaps a compliment for a peer and what they appreciate about each other. Set up environments where students feel free to share their hopes and their fears. We considered this when creating our sample schedule, so you'll see that included.
We also are hearing about the importance of daily report cards that include positive interventions and supports, especially as students are getting adjusted to the classroom again. Classworks offers a digital observation tool for all teachers and students. This resource offers real-time feedback that is immediately accessible to student, parents, and other teachers. So this is a great way to encourage positive behavior as well as correct any bad habits before they become too ingrained.
So, and another practice that we're hearing from many of our districts is setting goals for students each week of a planned summer school. There are two approaches that we are seeing. The first is to have a teacher plan a team or class goal and then create that goal and assign it to our students as a group. The students then put their confidence level in achieving the goal and document the steps they take along the way to meet the team goal. The other approach, usually for the older kids, is to have students set a goal for themselves each week of summer school. These can be academic or personal goals. They have ongoing collaboration with the teacher as they take the steps to reach their goal each week. Most systems are thinking that a weekly goal is probably the cleanest way to approach this. And the benefits of this are incredible. Students are persevering to achieve goals, working as a team to meet their goals each week, and having important dialogue with caring adults as they meet their important summer school objectives.
Yeah, and we're not just looking at student emotional well-being, but the teacher's morale is a really important piece of summer learning also. Teachers went into teaching in order to make a connection and a difference in student lives. After such an exhausting year, it may seem overwhelming to some teachers to tackle summer school with a new group of students. In order to recruit the best and the brightest, be sure to keep their needs in mind as well. First, where contracts allow, be generous with pay. And beyond that, make sure the school day nourishes the teacher's needs as well as the students. So what that means here is to emphasize perks, not just compensation, like flexible schedules, job sharing opportunities, professional learning, and optimal planning time. And as we said earlier, have enough support staff on hand to ease the teacher's burden of taking on too much. Summer schools really needs are really different, and they have a different vibe than the school year, right? Relax the dress code, have themes for each week, create t-shirts, make teachers want to be a part of this fun, innovative program. Chances are, though, you're going to have to sell summer school to them. For instance, it's a no-brainer for teachers in Memphis to participate. Shelby County schools wrap up each week with Field Trip Fridays. What a great opportunity for students and teachers to have fun together. And last but certainly not least, truly celebrate success. Again, social and emotional well-being is equally important to students as it is the staff. So ensuring that you focus on a couple of goals for summer school so they're achievable and then celebrate each step towards those goals will be huge for everyone. And it will really set the stage for a positive attitude for the 2021-2022 school year. So really make this summer count.
So finally, what does the day look like? Here's the template for our sample schedule. We'll go through it in greater detail in just a minute. So remember, students may not be accustomed to sitting still in a classroom. And of course, the excitement of other kids in the same room. So the day may have to be broken up a little differently. We picture a lot of time setting and resetting expectations. So make a day that will work best for your population and your summer learning goal. You may be considering a full day, half day, and even a 1-hour option for students as well. So for the purpose of our webinar, we do consider what a full day will look like with a detailed sample schedule. However, if you are offering a wide variety of things, we will also review how you can pick and choose the right elements for your school schedule.
When thinking about the day, here at Classworks, we believe in the power of technology to close gaps and really individualize learning for all students. But we also have to be aware that students have had a lot of technology time in the last 14 months. So the opportunity to do interactive learning and collaborate safely with their peers and teachers is an absolute must for summer school. You will see in this sample schedule that while technology is certainly a part of our summer school, it is not all of summer school. We will send this sample out as a follow-up resource as well. So now let's dive into the logistics of a day. All right, so students will likely grab breakfast before class. Then the day will kick off with the 15-minute opening meeting. This is a great start off to the day by providing that SEL support and setting the stage. It also includes building up classroom trust and vulnerabilities of students and their teacher. And then again, this is where that circle of trust or morning meeting is happening. Next, a 15-minute ELA mini lesson. Introduce the key standard or focus of the week with the mini lesson for ELA. This is a perfect time to begin reestablishing classroom expectations. Also know that attention spans are probably shorter than usual right now, so keep this short and sweet. Now we move into a 60-minute ELA block with stations. So we can anticipate students being really excited to be back around their peers and friends. So no need to try to contain that excitement, embrace it. Get students up and moving with stations to teach those key standards. Utilize a technology station, small group with the teacher, an opportunity for practice, and a writing station. Make stations 30 minutes long, so then teachers or students will do 2 in one day and the other 2 the next day. Senders and rotations are a great way to mix socialized yet structured learning time, right? They keep students engaged, up and moving, all while focusing on the power standard for the week. And even better, they get a break from screen time. We have an amazing blog post full of more ideas for centers and stations, as well as videos featuring small group time and centers as part of a blended learning environment. Again, we will be sure to include those links as a follow-up, so definitely be on the lookout for that email.
So for our Classworks partners, where do we come in? Of course, students at the technology station work on Classworks, except instead of individualized learning, students have a specific assigned lesson for practicing the key skill taught in that earlier mini lesson. Then small group instruction is driven by data from assessments or by standards. Then you can identify skills and use printed Classworks classroom reading activities to guide students through close reads. Then those same passages are used in stations for paired partner reads, comprehension checks, and constructed response or writing stations.
That all really works well together. So then you have a 15-minute break. After a breather, head into the math section of the day. So this starts off with, again, another 15-minute math mini lesson. This quick lesson highlights and focuses a key skill or concept. Then on to a 60-minute math block with stations. So math stations are much like ELA, ensure students have time to apply the skill outlined in the mini lesson, and Classworks resources can come to the rescue here as well.
That's right. So we have problem-solving activities to apply standards-based instruction. Print the activities and hand out the differentiated problems by group. Use small group time to facilitate that math conversation and guide students through productive struggle. Incorporate manipulatives to build student conceptual understanding. After you've established your focus or power standard for each week, you can align the Classworks projects associated with the key skills to offer students a hands-on way to expand student learning. These same projects, are also available for ELA. So we're actually just skimming the surface here. We'll be holding a virtual workshop in the next 2 weeks for our Classworks districts to help you build out your summer plans, including suggested focus standards and acceleration skills. So be on the lookout for that invitation.
Definitely. All right, so now we've reached the middle of the day, which includes a 60-minute lunch and teacher office hours. So lunch is a perfect time for social interaction for students. But in addition to lunch, this hour could incorporate things like chess and art club, or even kickball teams hosted by volunteers and or support staff. This time slot can also include teacher office hours. If students have questions about the day's lessons or just need a check-in, students can request time with their teacher. And then in the afternoon, we have 2 specific time blocks. We have extracurriculars and individualized learning time. So 45 minutes for extracurriculars. And we think this is a really important and exciting part of summer learning day. Students have been craving extracurriculars and team building opportunities. So art, PE, music, and recess will be really fun for all students. And then a 45-minute individualized learning time where students can really wind down, and this having a set time for independent work. And while students are using technology like Classworks to individualize independent instruction to meet students' needs and close instructional gaps. So this time also allows for one-on-one conferences for teachers and students to offer feedback and check-ins on their daily goals. And then wrap up the day with a 15-minute closing ceremony or wrap-up circle. So this time is for students to reflect on their day, their hopes, their fears, and their daily goals. This is a perfect way to cap off the day and start the next one with a fresh start. Regardless of the schedule, like class changes, it's important to find these reflection opportunities. All right, so there you have it, a day of summer school. It's also important to note that this is an ideal day. We know the first few days may be spent on really setting expectations and screening and embracing the back to school mentality, and that's totally okay.
And then what if you only have a half day or 4 days a week? So consider splitting ELA and math so that, say, Tuesday and Thursday is ELA, while Monday and Wednesday is math. Concentrated time to address and apply skills obviously has a much greater impact on student learning than jumping from one concept to the next. So thank you so much for taking the time to participate in today's webinar. It's such a pleasure to partner with school districts across the country, and then to be able to share their awesome ideas and plans for the summer. We're all just brainstorming together about how to best meet the needs of students across the country. So to recap, what we have been hearing are the most important areas in order to have a successful summer school and ultimately successful back to school 2021. These were establishing that summer school goal or goals, determining who attends, paying for it, establishing the role of data, deciding on your instructional focus, taking care of the social and emotional needs of students and teachers, and then finally we talked through that sample schedule.
And of course, if you are in our Classworks family, we will be glad to help you in any way we can. As you plan, set up a time to meet with your curriculum and instruction specialist to decide on how Classworks will play a part in your summer school. Then think about what teachers need to know to put everything in place and schedule professional learning then to bring it all together. Additionally, there will be an opportunity for customers to take a deeper dive into how Classworks can support your summer learning. As Melissa said, be on the lookout for more information on that. And now, if you are new to Classworks and would like to learn more, feel free to message a team member in chat. And I hope you all had some good ideas from our summer learning planning today. And let us know what you decide. We know there are going to be a lot of great things happening. All right, so some time for Q&A here.
Yeah, that was great, Melissa and Jordan. Thank you guys so much for that awesome presentation. We have a couple of questions that have come through the chat. So guys, again, if you have any questions, if you saw anything throughout today's presentation you want to inquire further about, please don't be shy to use that chat button and ask away. But to kick it off, it seems like we have, what specific local or national organizations do you suggest reaching out to?
Yeah. So in addition to AmeriCorps and local teaching residencies, like I know here in Memphis, we have the Memphis Teaching Residency, reach out to local colleges and universities to recruit students in education. There's also a lot of volunteer websites like Volunteer Match, where you can actually put in some information and it will match volunteers to your needs. It's a good question.
Nice. Okay, the next question that we have is, how do we select the standards to address in summer school?
I'll take this one. All right. So, okay, when we're thinking about focus standards and power standards, it's really not just about a teacher picking and choosing standards that they see fit. This process really prioritizes certain standards and then couples them with other supporting standards, right? We know there's just a lot of standards out there. So there are a few different theories on how to choose power standards, but most often it's based off your high stakes test. So usually you'll get a blueprint, and this blueprint will outline the number of questions and the weight per standard. So the ones that are come up more frequently and more heavily questioned in the end of year assessment is the one schools usually focus on. And then for Classworks customers, we have actually pulled our recommended focus standards and would be happy to share those with you as well. Just reach out to your CNI.
Perfect. And then we talked about not using progress monitoring for summer school. Can we expand on why that is?
So yeah, we feel pretty strongly that progress monitoring, when we think about, frankly, both student and teacher morale, progress monitoring gives us great data for RTI documentation. What we're looking at here is screening and then using our formative data as we move through and students are mastering skills. And that's really going to be simpler, maximize that instructional time. And then you can decide, obviously, if you want to do post-test screening, but we felt like progress monitoring isn't part of the structure that we're working with on our partners, just because we're not doing that part of that formal RTI process.
We actually have another question about assessment that just popped up in chat. Melissa Taylor wants to know if we have a pre and post assessment.
Yeah, definitely. We offer a couple different ways you can do that. Sort of the most popular is to use the Classworks Universal Screener that offers time of year targets, vertically scaled and CII validated, about 25 to 30 minutes for students to take it. That's probably what most folks will do. We do have some systems that will use custom assessments, so they'll create by grade custom assessments to use for pre and post as well. But most folks in the Classworks universe are going to use the Universal Screener for summer school, and we do have pre and post, yeah.
Great question. And then it looks like we have a Classworks customer asking, they're ready to plan now. How can they set up a time to meet with their curriculum and instruction specialist?
Yeah, well, you can head on over to classworks.com, and there's a blue chat button in the right-hand corner, and our success team will direct you in the right path to get in touch with your CNI.
Nice. So those were all the questions that had come into me so far. We'll give it another couple of seconds here to see if anything else comes through. But while we're waiting, guys, if you are not a current Classworks customer and you have questions after today's webinar, definitely use that blue chat button on classworks.com and we can answer any question you've got for us. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining. Shout out to Rick, who just scheduled his demo. Hope to see some other of you guys asking questions in classworks.com as well. We will send out this follow-up information and the follow-up recording shortly. Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
Thank you.